I felt my heart pounding as I walked into the dorm lounge. Lena was sitting there, her hair catching the sunlight, reading quietly. I swallowed hard. "Lena, can we talk for a minute?" I asked, my voice trembling. She looked up, a small, puzzled smile on her face. "Sure, what's up?" I like you. I really like you. More than a friend," I blurted, my palms sweating. For a moment, she just stared at me, her eyes wide. Then suddenly, "Oh my God," came Carly's voice, and Mia and Jenna erupted into laughter behind her. "What did you just say?" Mia giggled, barely able to contain herself. I just told Lena how I feel," I mumbled, wishing the floor would swallow me whole. Carly pointed her phone at me. "You like her? Ha ha ha! Guys, record this. He actually confessed." Jenna leaned closer, whispering, "This is too good." "He's actually serious." Lena's face twisted with embarrassment. "Please, can you stop?" "He's serious," she whispered, her voice shaky. "Oh, come on, Lena, don't defend him. He's hilarious." Carly laughed, nudging Mia and Jenna, who were already doubling over. I wanted to say something, anything, but my mouth went dry. I could feel the heat creeping up my neck. "Please, just stop." "I mean it," I whispered, but they didn't stop. Carly zoomed in with her phone. "Wait, this needs captions. Poor guy gets rejected." "Or does he?" She laughed, and I could see the video going live on social media. Mia smirked. "I can't believe you actually said it out loud. This is gold, absolute gold." I clutched my notebook tightly, trying to hide the shaking of my hands. Why are you doing this?" I muttered, barely audible. "Because it's funny," Jenna exclaimed. "Honestly, you made it so easy." Lena looked like she wanted to disappear. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't think they'd—" "Sorry doesn't fix this," I snapped, but even as I said it, my voice sounded weak. I turned and ran to my room, the laughter chasing me down the hall. Once inside, I slammed the door and sank onto the bed. I pressed my face into the pillow, trying not to cry, trying not to scream. My chest felt tight, my stomach in knots. How could something so simple, telling someone how I feel, turn into a public joke? I could still hear their laughter echoing in my mind. Poor guy gets rejected. Or does he? That phrase burned like fire. I couldn't believe Lena didn't stop them. She looked scared, yes, but she didn't say anything loud enough to make them stop. And yet, it wasn't her fault entirely. It was theirs, the ones who thrived on making others small to feel big. I closed my eyes and made a silent vow. I will never be so defenseless again. I will make sure no one can laugh at me like that. Not ever. My hands curled into fists, anger mixed with humiliation. And beneath it all, a small flicker of determination ignited. One day, they would realize that mocking someone's heart wasn't harmless. One day, they would cry for life. But for now, all I could do was sit there, heart pounding, tears threatening, and plan. The first step was surviving this semester. The rest, I would decide later. I thought the worst had happened when I ran to my room that day, but the nightmare was just beginning. By morning, the video of my confession was everywhere. I tried to avoid the cafeteria, but whispers followed me like shadows. "Hey, lovebird," someone snickered as I walked past. I ignored it and focused on my tray. "You actually confessed." "Ha ha! Genius move!" another voice chimed in. I looked up and saw Mia smirking from across the hall, her friends snickering behind her. I dropped my gaze to my food, forcing myself not to respond. Don't give them the satisfaction, I thought. Later, Lena approached me in the library. "I'm sorry about them. I didn't mean for it to get so public." "It's not your fault," I muttered, my throat tight. "But it doesn't make it hurt any less." "You okay?" she asked softly. I forced a nod. "Yeah, I'll survive." By midweek, Carly, Mia, and Jenna's pranks escalated. They hid my books, swapped my notes, and even left sticky notes on my locker with insults. I felt trapped, but I refused to show fear. One afternoon, Jake slid into the seat across from me in the lounge. "Hey, don't let them get to you," he whispered. "I'm fine," I said, though my voice wavered. "You don't look fine," he countered. "I can help if you want. Thanks, but no. I'll manage." I didn't trust anyone fully yet. Not after everything. Later, I caught glimpses of cracks in the roommates' lives. Carly stayed up late, endlessly texting, sometimes crying into her pillow. Mia bragged in public, but I noticed the panic in her eyes when she stared at her failed exams. Jenna laughed at parties, but I saw her staring longingly at Lena, clearly wishing she could be as effortlessly liked. I started to observe, quietly, without them noticing. They're not invincible, I thought. Everyone has weaknesses. One day, Lena approached me again, her expression gentle. You know, you don't have to face them alone. I do, I said firmly. I need to see this through myself, she hesitated. I understand. Just don't shut yourself off completely. I gave a small smile, more for her than for me. I'll be okay. I promise. In the cafeteria, Carly spotted me and smirked. Hey everyone, look who's eating alone. Poor guy, still licking his wounds. I swallowed the urge to shout. Instead, I muttered, at least I'm not desperate for attention. Her smirk faltered for a second. Watch it, she said, though her voice lacked conviction. I started keeping a journal, writing down every insult, every prank, every small victory or failure I noticed around them. I noted Carly's texts, Mia's grading patterns, Jenna's jealousy. Slowly, my pain began to turn into a quiet, simmering plan. Jake noticed my habit of jotting notes and raised an eyebrow. You're observing them, I shrugged. Maybe, just keeping track. You're not plotting revenge, are you? He asked nervously. Maybe I am, I admitted quietly. But only because they made me feel helpless. I won't feel that way again. By mid-semester, whispers followed me less because I was ignoring them, and more because I had started speaking up. Excuse me, I'd say when someone tried to push me, or please don't touch my things. My confidence was quiet but noticeable. Lena watched from a distance sometimes, giving a small nod of encouragement. I couldn't tell if she was worried or impressed. The roommates, on the other hand, were showing cracks. Carly's arrogance faltered when her family messages came late at night. Mia's harsh words slipped when she panicked over assignments. Jenna's fake laughter felt hollow, like a mask she couldn't hold all day. I smiled to myself. They laughed at me first. Now it's my turn to see them falter. I wasn't ready yet. Not fully. But the seed of my plan had been planted. And by the time the semester ended, they would regret every mocking word. For now, I endured. I listened. I observed. And I learned. Painful, yes. Humiliating, yes. But necessary. And every night, I whispered to myself, one day you'll have the upper hand. Just wait. I didn't expect to see them like this. One evening, I was at the library, trying to finish a paper, when I spotted Carly in the far corner, her face buried in her hands. Carly? I whispered, hesitating. She looked up, eyes red and puffy. I'm fine, she said quickly, wiping her face. You don't look fine, I said softly. I said I'm fine. Her voice cracked. Then she buried her face again. I wanted to look away, but something inside me made me stay. Later, Mia came into the study room, muttering about grades. I can't do this anymore, she groaned, slamming her notebook shut. Hey Mia, need help? I asked, trying to sound casual. She glared at me. Why would you care? I don't know. Maybe because I know what it's like to struggle, I said. Her eyes narrowed, suspicious. Humph, weird. And Jenna? She sat on the lounge couch, scrolling through her phone, laughing at something. But when her boyfriend called, her smile faltered. I can't, she muttered under her breath, almost inaudible. I realized then that beneath the arrogance, the teasing, the laughter, they were fragile, human, just like me. Later, Lena approached me as I packed my books. I saw you talking to them, she said softly. I'm just listening, I replied. Trying to understand. Lena tilted her head. You're not plotting revenge, are you? I shook my head quickly. Not yet, I just want to know who they really are. I can't be blindsided again, she smiled faintly. I think you're stronger than you know, I smiled back, but only a little. Thanks, that means a lot. The next day, I sat near Tara, Lena's quiet best friend, in the lounge. You know Lena really respects you, right? Tara whispered. I think she does, but she's scared, I said, glancing at Lena talking with some classmates. Tara leaned closer. Don't give up. You have more control than you realize. Just be careful, I nodded slowly. I will, I just need to be smart about this. Later that week, I saw Carly pacing her dorm room. I can't handle them, I can't, she muttered, throwing her phone onto the bed. I leaned against the doorway. Who? Everyone! My parents, the professors, my friends. It's too much, she admitted, her voice breaking. You're human, I said softly. Even the strongest people crack sometimes. Her eyes widened, like she hadn't expected sympathy. You're weird, but thanks, I guess. Mia was panicking over an assignment, her calculator covered in scribbles. I can't figure this out. I'll fail, I just know it. You won't, I said calmly. Do you want me to show you a trick? Her frown turned into a hesitant nod. I guess. And Jenna, I caught her staring at Lena laughing with a friend. Her lips trembled. Why does she have everything? She muttered. Because everyone's story is different, I said softly. She looked at me, startled. You get it? I do, I said. That night I reflected on what I had seen. Each of them had weaknesses, insecurities, fears. It made them human. It made them beatable. Not because I wanted to hurt them, at least not yet, but because I now understood that the power they held over me came from my ignorance, my naivety. Lena sent me a message later that evening. I saw you today. Thank you for caring. Don't lose yourself. I stared at the screen, my heart racing. I won't, I typed back. I have a plan. I'll survive, I'll rise, and I'll reclaim myself. As I looked out my window at the dorm courtyard, I whispered to myself, they think they're untouchable. They don't even know the game has changed, and I'm learning all their moves. The semester was still long, and I knew I had to be patient. Observation first, strategy next, action later. The pieces were slowly falling into place, and I couldn't wait for the moment when all the laughter would finally turn, when the ones who mocked me would see the consequences of their cruelty. But for now, I had to wait, quietly, learning every flaw, every fear, every crack behind their masks. I had been observing for weeks, learning their habits, their weaknesses, their little cracks. That evening, I sat in my room, tapping my pen against the notebook, thinking, it's time for the first strike. I started small, just whispers, tiny rumors, harmless, but enough to shake their confidence. I sent an anonymous message to the dorm group chat about Carly missing a deadline. She's stressed and struggling, it read. No one knew it was me. The next day, I saw Carly pacing the hallway, frowning at her phone. Why did everyone know about that deadline? She muttered. Mia and Jenna were nowhere near, but her posture screamed panic. Later, Mia stormed past me in the lounge. Who's been spreading rumors about my grades? She demanded. I shrugged casually. Not me. Maybe you should check your notes. Her eyes narrowed. Weird, but thanks anyway. Jenna, meanwhile, kept scrolling through social media, a frown creasing her forehead. Why do people always get the wrong idea about me? She whispered to herself. I smiled faintly. It's working, Lena noticed first. You're different, she said softly one afternoon. More confident. I looked at her, hiding the satisfaction in my chest. I've had to be, I replied. Just be careful, she murmured. I will, I said, though inside I felt a thrill. My first taste of control was intoxicating, but it was dangerous too. Revenge was addictive, and I had to keep my balance. The following week, I decided to escalate. I subtly spread a rumor that Mia had cheated on a small quiz. Nothing concrete, just enough to make her peers suspicious. She stormed up to me. Did you say something about me cheating? Me? No way, I replied, keeping my voice neutral. Why would I? Her glare lasted a moment longer before she walked away, muttering. I knew the seed was planted. Carly was next. I had noticed her texting late into the night, clearly stressed about family expectations. I sent a harmless hint to one of her friends that Carly might be lying about her weekend activities. Nothing direct, just enough to create doubt. The next day, I overheard someone whispering about her. Carly's confident front faltered. She stared at me in the lounge later. What did you do? I shrugged. Nothing. She left, frustration written all over her face. Jenna's ego was fragile, and I decided to poke at it carefully. I commented anonymously on a social post she'd made. Why does Lena always get all the attention? She's not even trying. Jenna stormed out of her room, muttering. Who wrote that? Seriously? Who? I leaned back in my chair, pretending to read, hiding the grin tugging at my lips. Step by step, Lena approached me after class. You're changing, she said softly. I didn't expect this. I've learned, I said. I can't let people push me around anymore. Her eyes softened. Just don't lose yourself in it. Revenge can be dangerous. I know, I murmured. But they laughed at my heart. I need to reclaim it. Jake caught me in the hallway later. Are you okay? You seem different. I forced a casual shrug. I'm surviving, he frowned. Just be careful. Don't let this consume you. I won't, I said, though my heart raced with excitement. Each small move, each tiny crack in their confidence, felt like a victory. I felt power, control, and it was intoxicating. By the end of the week, subtle changes were visible. Carly avoided eye contact more than usual. Mia was defensive around her friends. Jenna seemed jittery, scrolling endlessly on her phone, looking for reactions. I kept notes, observing them, understanding them, learning their weaknesses. I had to be patient. I couldn't strike too early or too openly. Timing was everything. One night, Lena texted me, "You're not like them. Don't become someone you're not." I stared at the message, my fingers curling around my pen. I'm still me, but I'm stronger now. And when the time comes, they'll regret every laugh, every insult. The semester was long, and the game had just begun. Every whisper, every doubt I planted was a brick in the foundation of their eventual downfall. And I couldn't wait to watch the first domino fall. I thought I was gaining control, learning patience and turning the tables. Then Jake betrayed me. He came up to me one afternoon looking unusually nervous. "Hey, I might have said something about you to Carly, Mia, and Jenna," he admitted quickly. My stomach dropped. "What? Why would you?" "I didn't think it would matter. I just thought they'd already know half of it anyway," he mumbled, avoiding my gaze. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, shaking with anger. I didn't mean." "You didn't mean," I snapped. "I trusted you. I told you things, private things, and you just gave them away." Jake flinched. "I thought I was helping. I didn't want them to hurt you more." "Helping?" I laughed bitterly. "You just handed them the knife." He flinched again, guilt written all over his face. "I didn't know. I'm sorry, really, You're sorry." "Sorry doesn't undo the humiliation they've caused," I said, stepping back, trying to control my shaking hands. He swallowed hard. I'll make it right somehow." "You can't," I said coldly. "Trust isn't given back that easily. Not anymore." After he left, I sat on my bed, heart racing, mind spinning. Betrayal cuts deeper than mockery. I felt isolated, truly alone, even though Lena had been kind and the semester had started to feel manageable. Jake's betrayal reminded me how fragile trust can be. The next day, Carly spotted me in the lounge. "Look who's here," she called, a cruel smile on her face. I clenched my jaw, forcing a calm tone. "Hello," Mia smirked. "You look upset. Rough night?" I ignored her, focusing on my coffee. But inside, the betrayal burned. Later, Jenna passed me, whispering loud enough for me to hear. "He looks broken today." Ha ha ha. I kept my expression neutral, but every nerve in my body screamed. Not today, I thought. Not anymore. I found Jake later in the empty hallway. "We need to talk," I said quietly. "I know. I screwed up," he admitted, shoulders slumping. "I need you to understand something," I said. "Trust is a luxury, and right now, I can't afford to trust anyone fully. Not even you." "I understand," he said quietly, guilt etched into every line of his face. "You're still my classmate," I continued. "And maybe, someday, we'll get back to being friends. But right now, I have to rely on myself." Jake nodded. "I get it. I'm sorry." That night, I sat in my room, replaying every interaction, every slip, every betrayal. I realized I couldn't depend on anyone else. Every step forward had to be mine alone. I opened my notebook, flipping to the page where I had started tracking the roommate's weaknesses. I added new notes about Jake's mistake, about how easily trust could be broken. "Lesson learned," I whispered to myself. "No one gets to hurt me twice." Lena texted me later. "Are you okay? I hope you're not letting anyone, especially him, get to you." I typed back quickly. "I'll be okay. I've learned a lot, more than I expected." The next morning, I walked into the cafeteria with a renewed sense of purpose. Carly smirked at me from across the table. "Still brooding, huh?" I smiled faintly, neutral but calm. "I'm just observing." Her frown deepened. "Observing? Whatever." Mia laughed at something nearby. "Look at him. He thinks he's untouchable now." I didn't reply. Instead, I listened, watched and planned. Betrayal had cut deep, but it had also strengthened me. I would not let this break me. Later, Jenna passed by, muttering, "He's different now. Watch out." I felt a thrill of quiet satisfaction. "Yes, watch closely. You'll see the consequences of your actions soon enough." By the end of the day, I was exhausted, but stronger. I realized that betrayal was a harsh teacher, and the lesson was clear. Rely on no one, trust carefully, and never let anyone, friend or foe, take away your dignity. And deep down, I knew that the semester was far from over. Their laughter would return, but when it did, it wouldn't be at my expense. Not anymore. By now, I had learned enough. Every glance, every laugh, Every whispered word from Carly, Mia, and Jenna revealed something, a crack in their armor I could use. But I had to be careful. The thrill of revenge was intoxicating, and I didn't want to lose myself in it. I started with small social situations. At lunch one day, I sat near Carly, pretending to scroll through my phone. "Hey, did you hear about the library incident?" I asked casually, knowing someone would overhear. Carly froze. "Library? Incident?" she asked, voice tight. I shrugged. "I don't know. Just something someone mentioned. You okay?" She laughed nervously. "Yeah, fine. Totally fine." I noticed her glancing around, unsure of who had heard. It was subtle, almost invisible to others, but I had seen the shift. Anxiety was creeping in. Later, Mia walked past me in the hallway. "Did you do something with my assignment?" she asked, suspicion in her eyes. I leaned back against the wall. "Me? I don't even touch your stuff. Why would I?" Her frown deepened. Weird. Maybe someone's messing with me. Exactly as I planned. Doubt, uncertainty, paranoia. Jenna was the hardest to read. She always smiled, laughed, acted untouchable. But one night, I overheard her talking to a friend on the phone. I don't know if he's serious, but something's off. I feel like he knows too much," I smirked silently. She didn't even know yet. She didn't realize the web I was weaving around them. Subtle, unnoticed, precise. Lena watched from a distance sometimes. She approached me after class. "You're different now," she said softly. "I've learned a lot," I admitted. "Observing them, understanding them, it changes your perspective." She smiled faintly. "Just don't lose yourself." "I won't," I assured her, though inside I felt the thrill of power. Each small victory, every tiny crack I caused, made me feel alive, capable, in control. I realized how intoxicating control could be, but I reminded myself, subtlety was key. The next day, I organized a casual group study session. "Hey everyone, want to join?" I asked, keeping my tone friendly. Mia and Jenna looked at each other, then at Carly. "Sure," Mia said reluctantly. During the session, I let them talk first. Carly bragged about her weekend, trying to sound confident. I subtly hinted to the group, "Interesting. Some people have been spreading rumors about family expectations. Must be stressful." Carly froze, eyes darting nervously. "What? Who told you that?" I shrugged innocently. "I didn't. Just overheard." Mia shifted in her seat, glancing at Carly. "Really? That's surprising." Jenna tapped her fingers, looking uneasy. I saw her self-assured mask slip slightly. It was a small victory, but meaningful. Over the next week, I continued planting subtle hints, nudges, and whispers. A misplaced comment here, a careful observation there. Each of them began questioning their standing, their image, their control over social situations. They didn't see me as a threat yet, but they would. One evening, Lena approached me as I left the library. "You're very careful, aren't you?" she asked. "I have to be," I replied. "I can't afford mistakes." Her gaze softened. "I admire your patience and your strength." I felt a small warmth at her words. "Thanks. That means more than you know. Jake found me later." "You're really good at this," he admitted quietly. "I've learned from my mistakes," I said. "And from betrayal. I can't let anyone take advantage of me again." He nodded, looking both impressed and uneasy. "Just don't go too far." "I won't," I assured him. Subtlety is key. Control without chaos. By the end of the week, the effects were visible. Carly's confident front cracked whenever someone mentioned her family or deadlines. Mia second-guessed herself constantly, even in casual conversation. Jenna's laughter became hollow, her easy smile strained. And through it all, I remained calm, almost invisible, watching, learning, understanding. Lena noticed the changes too. She gave me a small nod of acknowledgement, respect in her eyes. I realized that revenge didn't have to be loud or aggressive. Subtlety was far more effective. Plant the seeds, let doubt grow, and watch carefully as cracks formed. Each small victory fueled my sense of justice, and more importantly, strengthened my identity. That night, I sat by my window, looking out at the dorm courtyard. They laughed at me first. They thought they controlled me. They don't even realize the game has changed. I smiled faintly to myself. Step by step, they'll see what it's like to be powerless. And I knew the final blow was coming. Soon, very soon, they would understand that mocking someone's heart came with consequences. But patience was key. Observation, subtlety, and precision. That was my power now. And I was learning to wield it carefully. even as excitement bubbled beneath the surface. The final party of the semester was buzzing. Music, laughter, lights flashing. Everyone was out to celebrate. I walked in calmly, keeping my expression neutral, blending in while keeping an eye on Carly, Mia, and Jenna. Tonight was the night everything came together. Carly was talking to a group, laughing loudly, but I noticed the tension in her shoulders. I nudged a mutual friend subtly. "Hey, did you hear about her family situation?" "What do you mean?" the friend asked. "Oh, just that there were some issues." "Not serious, but people are noticing," I said, careful to sound casual. Carly froze mid-laugh, her smile faltering. She glanced around, noticing a few people whispering. "What are you talking about?" she asked, voice tight. I shrugged innocently. "I'm just saying what I heard." Her cheeks flushed, and she stumbled over her words, clearly embarrassed. The first domino had fallen. Mia was next. Earlier that week, I had managed to leak a hint about her failing a critical exam. I didn't have to do anything now. The seed had grown. At the party, someone brought it up casually. "Did you hear Mia didn't pass the midterm?" Her confident smile vanished. "What? That's not... I mean..." She tried to cover, but the group's murmurs grew. I leaned against a wall nearby, watching her panic, a flicker of satisfaction mixing with my nerves. This was subtle, but effective. Jenna's moment came when her boyfriend, whom I knew was struggling with doubts, finally confronted her. I can't keep pretending everything's fine," he said. Her eyes widened. "What do you mean?" I can't do this anymore," he admitted. Jenna froze, her usual self-assured mask slipping completely. "You're leaving me?" she whispered, panic rising. "Yes," he said firmly. She turned and ran to the bathroom, leaving whispers and shocked looks in her wake. My plan had worked flawlessly. I felt a hand on my shoulder. "Lena, you did all this?" she asked softly. I shook my head. "I didn't have to do much, just observe and let things unfold." Her eyes were wide, filled with awe. "You stayed calm. You didn't gloat. You just controlled it all." "I had to," I admitted. "After everything, they needed to learn, but not at my expense anymore." We watched together as Carly tried to regain composure, failing miserably. Mia was frantically whispering to friends, trying to justify her grade, but everyone was skeptical. And Jenna, she sat alone, stunned, realizing her boyfriend had walked away. I didn't feel victorious in a loud, gloating way. Instead, there was a quiet satisfaction, a relief that the semester's tension, the humiliation, and the betrayal had shifted. Carly's eyes met mine briefly, panic and realization in her gaze. She understood who had orchestrated the subtle unraveling, but she couldn't say anything. The truth was too public, too undeniable. Mia's whispers died down as she realized her social image had fractured. The confidence she projected all semester was gone. And Jenna, well, the absence of her boyfriend was enough to shake her entirely. No mask could hide her shame. Lena squeezed my arm gently. "I've never seen anyone handle this so gracefully," she said. I smiled faintly. "Grace isn't about pretending you're okay. It's about knowing when to act and when to wait." She nodded slowly. "You've changed, and not just in how others see you. You've grown." I felt a warmth in my chest. Lena's acknowledgement mattered more than the humiliation of the roommates. My revenge was satisfying, yes, but seeing her respect and understanding me, that felt like true victory. Jake appeared nearby, watching from a distance. He gave me a small nod, an unspoken apology, and acknowledgement of the control I had regained. I nodded back silently. The party continued around us, music and laughter filling the air. But for the roommates, it was a night of reckoning. Each moment, each whisper, each faltering smile was a reminder that mocking someone's heart had consequences. I stayed calm, never gloating, never drawing attention to myself. Let the chaos happen naturally. Let karma take its course. I had orchestrated it, yes, but I didn't need to rub it in. By the end of the night, the three of them were exhausted, humbled, and aware of the shift in social power. Carly avoided eye contact. Mia clung to friends uncertainly, and Jenna sat alone, her usual confidence shattered. Lena looked at me one last time before leaving. "You were amazing tonight. Not just clever, but strong. I respect you so much," I swallowed, heart thumping. "Thanks, Lena, that means a lot." As I left the party, I realized something important. The revenge wasn't about making them suffer. It was about reclaiming myself. I felt a mix of satisfaction, relief, and a strange emptiness. The game was over, the tables turned, but the journey had changed me. And as I walked back to my dorm, I knew this was just the beginning of understanding myself, understanding trust, and understanding what true strength meant. The semester had ended, and the chaos of the party was behind me. I sat on my bed, journal open, pen in hand, replaying everything I had endured and accomplished. I survived. I regained control. I proved I wasn't defenseless. I wrote down every interaction, every small move, every reaction from the roommates. I noted their weaknesses, the subtle unraveling, and my own growth. The act of writing made everything clearer. A knock on my door startled me. "Hey, can I come in?" Lena asked softly. I looked up, surprised, and nodded. "Of course." She stepped in, closing the door behind her. "I just wanted to see how you're doing after everything." I smiled faintly. "I'm better than I expected. I learned a lot. About them, yes, but mostly about me." She sat beside me. "You've grown so much, not just in confidence, but in how you handle yourself. I admire that." "Thanks," I said quietly. "It wasn't easy. Betrayal, humiliation, it changes you." "I know," she replied softly, "but you handled it without becoming them." "That's impressive." We sat in silence for a moment. I realized how much I had missed moments like this. Genuine, calm, without judgment or mockery. I never realized how much I was letting others control me, I admitted. Their laughter, their teasing, it hurt, but it also made me stronger. "I can't let anyone dictate my worth anymore," Lena nodded. "And you've reclaimed it beautifully. Not through anger, but through understanding and patience." "That's rare," I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through me. "I think the most important lesson I've learned is about myself, about trust, patience, and knowing when to act. Revenge felt necessary, but it's not the end. It's just part of the journey." She looked at me, her eyes soft. "You're right, and I hope you'll let yourself forgive. Not them necessarily, but yourself, for everything you felt powerless about." I nodded slowly. "I'm trying. Forgiveness feels more like freedom than anything else. I don't need to hate anyone anymore. I just need to move forward," she smiled. "I think you're finally free, and I'm glad I got to see it." Later, I reflected on Jake. He had shown remorse, quietly observing, respecting my boundaries. I realized some people make mistakes, not out of malice, but weakness. Maybe in time, trust could be rebuilt. But for now, I focused on myself. The roommates had suffered the consequences naturally, subtly, without me needing to gloat. Carly, Mia, and Jenna were humbled, and their arrogance had faded. Observing them from a distance, I felt no pleasure in their pain, just relief that justice had balanced itself. I wrote in my journal again. Strength isn't just about revenge. It's about resilience, patience, and reclaiming yourself without losing your soul. Lena stayed with me for a while, sharing stories, laughing quietly. The tension that had lingered all semester melted away. I realized that connection, genuine connection, was far more fulfilling than any victory over them. "You've really changed," Lena said softly as she stood to leave. "I hope you know that what you've done, it's not just clever. It's courageous," I nodded. "I'm learning. I still have a lot to figure out. About myself, about life. But I feel stronger, ready for whatever comes next." She smiled warmly. "I'm glad, and I hope we can be part of that journey together." I felt a surge of emotion, something quiet and deep. "I'd like that," I said softly. After she left, I looked around my room. The semester had been brutal, humiliating, and eye-opening, but I had survived. I had grown, and I had reclaimed my dignity without losing myself. I closed my journal, feeling a sense of peace I hadn't felt in months. The laughter, the betrayal, the pranks, they were all behind me. What mattered now was the future. A soft smile tugged at my lips. I was ready to face it, ready to live without fear, without doubt, and without letting anyone control my heart again. And maybe, just maybe, ready for something new with Lena. Life after the semester felt different, lighter. I walked across campus with my head held high, no longer shrinking from whispers or laughter. Lena caught up to me one morning. "Morning," she said softly, smiling. "Morning," I replied. "Ready for the new semester?" She laughed lightly. "I think so. How about you?" "I feel ready," I admitted, stronger, more in control. Not just socially, but emotionally too. She looked at me thoughtfully. "I can see it. You're not the same person who walked in at the start of last semester. You've transformed. I had to, I said simply. No one else was going to protect me. I had to take control of my own life. Jake waved from across the quad. He looked hesitant but genuine. I nodded. Hey, I said. Hey, he replied softly. I just wanted to say, I'm trying to learn. I won't make the same mistake again. I smiled faintly. That's enough for now. We'll see how it goes. Walking past the dorm, I noticed Carly, Mia, and Jenna keeping to themselves. No glares, no mockery. They'd faced the consequences quietly, and I no longer needed to intervene. Karma had done its work. I found a bench and sat down, pulling out my notebook. I jotted down reflections, not plans for revenge this time, but notes about personal growth. Trust yourself. Protect your heart. Move forward. Lena joined me, sitting close. You've really grown, she said again. I'm learning, I replied. And I realized something important. Revenge only matters if it teaches you. Otherwise, it's just bitterness. She nodded slowly. I think that's why I respect you. You didn't let hatred consume you. You reclaimed yourself. We smiled at each other, a quiet understanding passing between us. It was the first real peace I'd felt all semester. Later, Jake approached. You're handling this so well, he admitted. I have to, I said. I can't let the past define me. I choose my own path now. The semester had begun anew, and I felt prepared for whatever challenges came. I had survived humiliation, betrayal, and cruelty, but I had emerged stronger. As Lena and I walked back to class together, she said softly, I'm glad I got to see you like this. Fully yourself, I smiled. And I'm glad you did. For the first time in a long while, I felt free, trusting myself, embracing growth, and knowing that my heart was finally my own. Months later, the campus had returned to its usual rhythm. Classes, friends, parties, but something had shifted for me. I moved with a quiet confidence, aware of my own strength and dignity. I spotted Carly, Mia, and Jenna in the quad, sitting quietly. They didn't avoid me, but there was no animosity either. Subtle signs of humility, maybe even growth. Lena approached me, carrying her backpack. Hey, she said softly. Hey, I replied, smiling. How's it going? Good, really good, she said. You've changed everything, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. I shook my head lightly. I didn't aim to change anyone but myself, but I guess consequences have a way of teaching lessons without needing to be loud. She nodded thoughtfully. That's true. And you handled it all with grace. I admire that. I felt a warmth in my chest. Lena's acknowledgement mattered more than any social victory. Thanks, I said quietly. I think I've finally learned to take control of my own life, not let others dictate my feelings, my confidence, or my choices. Jake walked past, giving me a small nod. I returned it. His remorse had matured into quiet respect. Sitting on a bench later, I reflected on the semester and the month since. Humiliation, betrayal, revenge, and growth, they had shaped me. I understood now that true strength wasn't about dominating others, but about reclaiming your dignity and learning from every hardship. I noticed subtle signs from the former antagonists, hesitation, envy, and perhaps even self-reflection. Life had a way of teaching lessons slowly, naturally. I didn't need to push it further. Karma and time had done their work. Lena sat beside me. Do you ever think about how different everything could have been? She asked quietly. All the time, I admitted. But I don't regret it. Every experience taught me something. About trust, resilience, and myself. She smiled, nudging my shoulder. I think you've earned your peace. And maybe a little happiness too, I chuckled softly. Maybe. I'm learning to embrace it slowly. As I watched the campus life around me, I realized something important. Control over my heart, my choices, and my emotions mattered more than social approval or revenge. That was the true lesson. The former roommates, the pranks, the betrayals, they were all part of a larger story. But now the story was mine. I could write it however I wanted, free from fear, ridicule, or doubt. Lena looked at me, her eyes warm. I'm glad you've grown, but I'm also glad I got to witness it. You're incredible. I felt a quiet satisfaction. Thanks. I've learned that humility, self-respect, and patience are more powerful than vengeance. She smiled, squeezing my hand. And maybe we can face the future together? I nodded, a soft grin spreading. Yes, together. Months of pain, betrayal, and humiliation had transformed me. I was no longer the shy, mocked student. I was confident, emotionally aware, and capable of taking control of my life. The campus buzzed with laughter, gossip, and life, but I walked through it quietly, aware that true victory wasn't in others' shame, it was in reclaiming yourself. And as I looked toward the horizon, I felt peace. Finally, I was free.